Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business Minds Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Shaw, founder of BeInfinite.co, the company behind the Business Minds. On our podcast, we aim to get you one step closer to achieving your entrepreneurial level of success. And on today's episode is no different. We have a great friend of mine, a great mentor of mine, I might say, in the mental health field, Mr. Joe Corley. We know him as Coach. I don't know if you know him good enough to say that yet, but you will, because he's changing the game as far as mental health is concerned. And he started a new company, and this is the time and the space to turn it. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, we're back. Let's get started. Let's bring Mr. Corley on the line, and we're ready to go. Hey, Joe, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, brother. It's real fancy. You get a real fancy setup you got up here.
Hey, we got it. We got to get one step ahead. You're going to get there too, man. Joe, I'm super excited for you to be on here today. It's a long time coming, and I just love the work that you're doing. Before we even get started in the conversation, let's just let us know who you are and why were you chose. You believe you were chose to help people with mental health.
So I'm Joe Corley, and who I am is someone who has 15 plus years combined experience in education and mental health, and it's just we all are purposely made for something, and we all have a superpower, but not everybody is blessed enough to tap into whatever that superpower is. And through my own life experiences, I've gained an understanding of what mine are. And mine is compassion and empathy for others. And I'm just driven and purpose to do that. So that's what I do. And when it comes to the area of mental health, I just, it's just a calling. It's just a calling.
Oh man, that's exactly why you know exactly what you were doing, and you know why you're here, man. That's great. Now me and you have known each other for a while, and when I first encountered you, I think it was on the court before I even went to. Whenever you were coaching my nephews, and you just always have an intense emotion about you, man, and I respected that because a lot of men they try to hide that, man, but you were always you like wore your emotions on the sleeve, and I think that's why a lot of people connected with you. So going into the mental health arena, man, it just seems like it's where you were always meant to be. Now, I would like to say, do you, when you're helping people, what area or what's your ideal client? Who are you looking to really help as far as in the mental health field?
So for me, I like to focus on three specific areas.
Okay.
Although I've seen people from all different types of mental health standpoints, but I like to deal with couples. I like to deal with grief, and I like to deal with trauma.
Oh, wow.
Mainly because those are all three things that I've, dealt with on a real personal level.
Okay, and can you give a now from someone like me, what's the difference between grief and trauma?
Oh, well, trauma could be simple as, when you were younger, your parents got divorced. That's a trauma.
Okay.
And that trauma affects, has a ripple effect on the rest of your life, depending on how you process that event. Grief, you lost somebody, someone died. Or, it could be just a loss of anything. You could have lost a relationship, heartbreak of some sort. You're in a romantic relationship and y'all split up. There's grief involved in that. There's a loss involved with grief, but mainly it's a loss of life.
Oh, wow. Okay, and when somebody is a adult and stuff isn't going quite right in their life, it could be because of some hidden grief or trauma that they didn't deal with.
Correct. Very correct.
Okay, and kind of walk us through how are you helping people find that? Couldn't that be like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, and they don't understand what's really going on, or they just come to you because something is off, and then you just help them kind of backtrack? Can you walk us through that a little bit?
Well, okay, so let's say a trauma shows up early in your life.
Okay.
Someone either dies or your parents divorce, and that that event causes you to start having a belief about the way relationships go or the way life is supposed to go, and you then process the rest of your life believing one thing, whether it's, and it could potentially be illogical, and your belief of that causes damage through your future relationships, your current relationships, because it keeps showing up some type of underlying unmet need that you had, and you just can't figure out, man, why does my relationship
Yeah.
keep failing? Why do I keep, why am I showing up so angry all the time and things of that nature? And sometimes it helps to go back and process, you know, what got you to this place, and move forward and move out of it and go to a healing space.
Oh wow. And that could actually play into the couple part too, because sometimes we're looking for certain stuff and then we think that being in a relationship can help, and then you're bringing in that into the relationship as well, would you say?
Mostly what draw couples to each other are unmet needs.
Oh wow.
Somebody that you found is meeting an unmet need somewhere for you that you gained probably early in life, or maybe in midlife somewhere. Either way, that's what draws couples
Mhm.
to each other is that attraction of the unmet needs. But it's not always healthy, so that's where someone like me would come in and try to make it more healthy.
Oh man, this is really deep, man. You could really be helping and impacting the whole world in a say. Do you when we're talking about starting a company, starting a business from this aspect, what type are we talking about, a whole journey that they go through? Or are we talking about just simply just attacking one piece of their life at a time and then just chipping away at it? Or is there like a finish line in this, or no?
There's definitely a finish line.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
Some people uh, just kind of like go through their life getting tune-ups. You come in
Mm.
and you have to process events as they happen. That's last week you got fired, so that's something you need to talk to and process. Uh, but some people are dealing with, let's say, for someone who's struggling with grief, or a couple who is struggling to gain intimacy with each other. If you figure out what it is that's causing their underlying issue, and kind of come up and construct a plan for them to basically avoid a lot of those triggers, and then meet each other on a honest level, then there's no need for them to keep coming, unless it's kind of like an as need basis. Then, okay, something happened, or something traumatic happened in our life, and maybe we need to process it, or maybe you gain the tools from the sessions that we had that can help you communicate through whatever issue that comes up. So there's definitely an endpoint for everyone.
Okay. Yeah, most of the time we talk about mental health, nobody really talks about an endpoint. They're kind of like, hey, you're kind of stuck with this, but you need to talk to somebody, which I understand that too. But it's good to, just from a hope standpoint, just to know, hey, that I don't have to necessarily live with this for forever, because that's like hopeless, right? Wouldn't you?
No, no,
That's kind of
yeah.
like giving out a hopeless message before we even started. Now, what would you do compare to say to people that feel like this isn't like psychiatry, is it? Um,
No,
this
that's something
is
totally different. Psychiatry is something you're prescribing medicine. That's a totally
okay.
different situation. Yeah, this is talk therapy, counseling, mental wellness,
Okay,
stuff like that.
great. And when can we expect you to start taking in new clients and stuff like this?
Well, I'm in the process of building a practice now, so
Okay,
uh,
great. So
I'm
in the near
looking. I'm looking.
future,
Yeah, I'm looking in the next month or two to roll out something that will start. Um, right now I'm just still kind of seeing some clients here and there as I'm building my practice, uh, through a third party, and also taking on a couple speaking engagements here and there. But right now I'm just trying to make sure that it is the way that I want it to look.
well, that's good. Always take your time when we're building these businesses. Now, what would you say to somebody from a entrepreneurial standpoint, to saying that something like this shouldn't this be something you should be doing for free?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. It should be free, 100%. It should be free to the consumer, but still, everybody deserves to get paid for
Yes.
their gifts. So there should be resources available for mental health services, 100%. And there
Okay,
are,
great.
and there are,
Okay.
you
And
know.
we're look, and I hope to help you along your entrepreneurial journey to where we can get to some point to where we are doing that. But I'm 100% in agreement with you having a gift and then you using that gift to not only help people but feed your family. So I
100%.
just kind of threw that wrench in there because a lot of people are always, this should be free because it's helping people. But I mean, how can you do something for free when if you have a roof over your head, So but
I've done
you
enough
do.
things for free. I've done a lot for free. Okay, as you know, I've done a lot for
Yes,
free,
I did.
and I'll continue to do a
Okay,
lot for free. But there's some need to
there's some
pay for your
needs.
gift.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And that's kind of speaking to our entrepreneurs out there who are watching this show, who have these strings that are being pulled. We can only do so much, and if we don't help ourselves and we're not pushing ourselves forward, would you agree, Joe, that we can't? It's going to be hard for us to really push other people forward, right? Like, in
Yes.
order for you to start this practice that you're consulting that you're doing, you kind of had to go through this process yourself to where you can even lead somebody and they can see the grass is greener on the other side, so to speak, right?
Right. So for me, specifically to what you're talking about, uh, you know, not being able to set those boundaries is what pushed me into this space to do mental health services because I was out there, like you said, people pulling at my heartstrings,
Yeah.
and it caused me to break down several times over. And that's only because I didn't understand boundaries. And that business, you got to set boundaries in business here,
Yeah.
or you're just gonna wear yourself out and let people take advantage of you.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to get to that because even though we're helping people, you give, you may have that heart to give, but people, you're helping them so much that they never are really stopping to think about, hey, like, he's giving me so much. I need to, how is he getting fed? Does he need something? I think that from a leader standpoint, and I'm talking to another leader, that a lot of the times people think that we just have an endless supply of just power and energy, and they don't realize you don't, and you can actually take advantage of people and break us down as well. But you're right, that's where we have to have our own boundaries, whether it's mean or whether they feel like it's mean or indifferent, whatever. We can't really help other people to our fullest ability without helping ourselves and pushing ourselves. So, and that's one of the things I learned with you, man, like just your outlook on life and your drive. I was talking and I've always had a drive for entrepreneurship, but it was very hard in the beginning to find my why. And you were one of the very first people that I've ever met that actually started with their why before it was even a thing. Now everybody's like, "Oh, you need to find a why. You need to find a why." Yeah, but Joe, like, you had this passion to where it really felt like every time I was in your presence, you were drawing from a why. You know what I mean? Like, and what I mean by that too is like you weren't getting paid for it. So that's when you're starting a business, your entrepreneurship, you find your why because in the beginning you're not going to get paid a lot, but that why keeps you going. And I feel like even you weren't thinking from an entrepreneur standpoint, but you were one of the very few people that I realized from the get go was drawing from something other, even before I knew what it was. It's just
Yeah.
like, okay, why do you have so much passion for this? And it seems to have very little reward back to you, and it
Right.
just kind of got me thinking about, wow, and then when I got more of my entrepreneurial years, I was like, man, Joe was pulling from his why, you know, even if you weren't conscious of it, that's what you were pulling from. Because you always had the same level of intensity. I meet some people, they're down sometimes, and I'm not saying you didn't get down, but you just always had something driving you. And so I really admired that about you through all the people I've met, and you did it for the kids. You killed it. And so I was admiring you. Now, I wanted to get into today's times and mental health and the need for it, right? The need
Hmm.
for a practice for a consulting firm like this today. Do you think there's a bigger need today than there was, let's say, 10 years ago?
Absolutely. Well, I believe that the need for it is more understood today than it was 10
Okay.
years ago. The need was
Accepted.
probably
Yeah.
there 10 years. Probably, yeah, exactly. People are more aware of
Yeah.
their mental health needs and recognizing that a lot of the things that they went through, weren't normal. You know,
Hmm.
but it was so commonplace. A lot of things that were happening 10 years ago to a person, you just kind of accepted it as suck it up, or it could be worse, or those type of things you're telling yourself to get through. But now people are understanding, like, man, this is, when that happened to me, such and such happened to me back, that wasn't normal. That really,
Yeah.
and it's affecting the way I deal with my wife, I deal with my children. I talk to my
Hmm.
people, at my coworkers, the way I handle business. You know, so yeah, I 100%. It's more needed today because more people are aware of today that these are mental health issues and not just you know problems or crazy, so to speak.
Just stuff we go through, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree. Now, what do you say to the people that say that this new generation or the people today just need to suck it up? You just need to suck it up. We had to go through things too. It was tough back then. What do you say to people from, with that kind of mindset?
I say that everybody needs to learn to be more vulnerable, because
Okay.
in doing that, you learn to gain empathy for other people. Now, the people that feel that way, if you are struggling and you are, of able body and able mind to go out and get treatment and get the help that you need in order to better your life, then you have 100% is your responsibility to do that. So that's as far as I'll go with suck it up. You know, you have a responsibility to your own mental health. If I shot you in the arm, Chris, I wouldn't. Are you going to suck it up, or are you going to are you going to go take yourself to the doctor?
I'm going to the doctor, man.
Right. And who's
I see what
responsible
you're
for
saying.
taking you to the doctor? Are you going to wait for somebody to take you, or are you going to take yourself?
That's true. I'm gonna take my. I'm gone. I'm not even waiting on my smokers.
You have a responsibility to yourself
Yeah.
for your mental health. It's just the same as you would for your physical health. Your responsibility to go get yourself some help if you need it.
Yeah. And I could see. Do you think that sometimes that mentality from people saying "suck it up" could keep other people in a closet, or so to speak, as far as wanting to go out and get help because they may think that it seems weak
Yeah.
when it doesn't? Like you said, vulnerability. That's a word very seldom used in today. In human culture, ever
Yeah.
human existence, we don't use that. That's a scary, sounds like a weak word. But now, I know you're not a weak man. For you to say it is going to hold some weight.
Right.
Now, do you think it that can help, that mentality keeps people from, like you say, going to the doctor, taking themselves to the doctor,
Yeah, I
and
do.
just
I do,
mm,
because there is a stigma that placed on mental health, especially in black and brown communities, where it's,
yes,
it's just people don't go. You don't go to the counselor. You don't go to the therapist. And and I should say that I want to be clear that when I'm saying you're able, some people are not able to help themselves. There
okay,
are mental illnesses out there that kind of prevent people from taking the steps necessary to get the help that they need. And when I say what I'm saying, I'm not necessarily talking to them. There are people out there that need help,
hmm,
that aren't able to, let's say, take themselves to the doctor because they're not even aware of what they're doing, and that's a totally different situation. I'm just talking about
okay.
talk therapy type stuff, but yeah.
And those people that, what if somebody brings someone else, you just refer them out to a more more, I guess,
I
different
mean,
counselor?
yeah, I mean, sometimes, it's a little bit beyond the scope of just a counselor. When you're talking,
Okay.
that's when you're talking about psychology, psychiatrists, and things like that, or institutionalized, places
Okay.
like that. We gotta, be checked into a hospital, something like that. Because I had a sister. She just recently, I just recently lost her, but she had schizophrenia, and
Mm.
you know, we went the majority of her life not understanding really what that was. Like I recently really understood what it was when I went to school and got educated on, on these type of things. So, but in our family, in our community, a lot of people would just call her crazy, not understanding
Mm.
that she has
Yeah.
very little control. This is a hereditary thing. She had very little control of acquiring that mental illness, and very little control over how to live with it. So a lot of times, these mental health issues are very systematic, and but for the most part, if you're somebody who just has the ability to, you're sitting around and you're sad all the time, you're angry all the time, and you're complaining about it, and you won't go see anybody, that's who I'm really talking to. You know,
Okay. 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 And what do you deal with? Because I know you were talking about the brown and the black community. Uh, is there a central focus there, or are you just open to anybody with uh, that needs your services as far as mental health?
Right now, I've only seen black and brown.
Oh, okay. And
It's
they're
not.
kind
It's
of.
not. Yeah, it's just that's just the environment that I'm in. It's not that I'm
Hmm.
trying to focus on that, but it just happens to be where I am. So that's who. And plus, in my space, there are not many. The numbers, the disparity of black mental health, especially black males, doing what I do. There's a need. There's a need
Yes.
there's a need in black and brown communities for people that look like me to do. So. Um, I don't want to say I'm strictly focused on that, but it's very important to me.
Okay, yeah, no, and I can see why, man.
Hmm.
And I feel like from that standpoint, there is a stigma on us too, as far as African Americans, men. We don't go to the doctor as much. The physical doctor. We don't get the checkups. We don't get the things, and so we're not going to do that. Heck, I'm not going to let you dig around in my brain, and
That's a
bring
fact.
up stuff that could trigger me. But do you feel like from a mental health aspect, the pain and the that's what's bringing it, like we're trying to cover up the pain with the anger and the sadness and all this stuff instead of facing it? And how do you help somebody kind of face that? That seems like a tough, like I couldn't do what you do,
So think
so
about it like maybe you've seen the movie Titanic when that boat hit the iceberg, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so iceberg is sticking out of the water, and it's just this big thing of ice, sticking out of the water. That would be
Hmm.
considered at your anger.
Okay.
Underneath the water, underneath the surface, are is what's really going on.
Mm.
It's your sadness, your fears, and all of those things that are causing you to present above the surface as angry. But what's really happening is beneath the surface.
Oh
Um,
man, that's a good analogy, because I've always known that, even when they showed that Titanic, they showed that little iceberg above, and it was big, but down below it
it
was
was
like
huge.
damn near, yeah, like a city or something. So
Right.
that's a very good analogy to paint the picture clear for us. Now,
Right.
before we're almost out of time, but before we go, I want to tackle the couples just a little bit more,
Hmm.
because as like I know marriage is in decline, especially in our country. And you're not billing yourself as a marriage specialist or counselor, right? You're doing you deal on the, like you said, the underlining. And how do you do that with a man and a woman? Because we typically think different. So if we come into a session together, I know you can't take sides, but how do how, just give me a overview. We just for our listeners, so we can
Right.
understand that process.
So I would definitely call myself a couples counselor.
Oh,
That's
you
what,
would?
yeah,
Okay, my
yeah. So
bad.
that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years, for the
I'm
majority.
putting.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry.
putting labels on you. My bad,
No, that's all
man.
right. The majority of the clients I see, we're talking are couples. And
Oh, okay.
to sum it up, I would just say that a lot of couples come into these sessions and they want to win the fight, uh, and,
Ah,
and they want the referee to call all the calls for them. And, like give me all the calls, give me all the calls. And so I immediately I tell people, and I'm very confrontational when couples get counseling.
oh, good.
If you're here to win an argument, I don't need to be here for this.
Mm.
What I am going to help you do is help you to both to understand each other's realities better. First, understand that you do have separate realities. Most of the time, it's not about who's right and wrong. Sometimes it's very black and white. If you went out and you had sexual relations with a bunch of other different women, you're wrong in the situation. However, sometimes we're having arguments over stuff that is it's just two people not understanding each other's reality. So it's my job to one, help the communication improve, give the skills and tools so that couples know how to talk to each other, so that they're not triggering each other and causing an escalation in the conversations. And
Oh man.
two, then understand each other's reality so that y'all can have a basic, just an understanding of, oh, I see why you think things look that way,
Mhm.
or I can understand why you see things the way that you see them. It's because of this, this, and this. Now we can talk. So that's how that works, Chris.
Um, hey, even though you're a new entrepreneur and you're going to start this, I love talking to people who have real skin in the game, who really know what they're doing. Because Joe, I'm gonna tell you, man, this mental health thing nowadays, it's almost like a badge of honor people wear, right? They're like, oh, hey, don't. I can act this way because my mental health or whatever, and they're really not getting down to trying to seek help because that's scary, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for somebody to come on here and make the your system, your flow so layman that we can easily understand, that just lets me know that you put a lot of time and thought into what you're doing and that you understand, because I've never heard anybody say use reality, that word, like that.
Yeah.
Because you're right. That's what's the real reality. Reality means real, and versus a lot of people are living in that the fake reality and thinking
Their
that the
own
world
perception.
revolves around. Huh?
Yeah, they're living in their own perceptions.
Yeah, they're living in their
Yeah.
own perception, and they're not realizing, like, no matter what you see, that's just a little part of reality. So I really like how you said that. Like, you need to see each other. So that was really good, and that kind of shows your expertise. Now, I know you haven't got the company totally up and running, but if people are looking to talk to you, get down and get your services, how can we get in touch with you? How can we get your word out there?
Well, right now, you can find me on Instagram. My podcast has an Instagram page. Vulnerability is the new sexy. My
Okay,
podcast,
I like that.
yeah, my podcast is on YouTube. My podcast is on, streaming platforms, Apple, Spotify, and things like that. And that's usually that's how people are finding me in the now. Very
Okay.
very soon though, I would be much more accessible. All you see, you said I'm new to entrepreneurship. That is a fact. What I'm not new to is helping and compassion and empathy. Those things are not new to me. And on the same side of the street where you were saying I was tapping in my why, and you were like, wow, Joe was tapping into his why. We were having those same conversations. I was looking at you and saying, man, I think Chris is making me see that I should probably be getting paid something for this. All this stuff, all this stuff that I'm doing.
Well,
So
thank you, man. Yeah, no, I definitely, man. Like, and you know what? I say that, but I thought you were. I thought you were. All
oh
the stuff
man,
you. I mean, you were
I was
moving such
paying to
a
do all that. I was paying. I was
yeah.
losing money. I was
you're
losing money.
you're paying. Well, you always
Yeah,
had a group of people around you, so I'm thinking if
yeah.
you got a group of people around you, and I'm helping y'all, we need to be. But no, I appreciate that, man, and that's why I love that you allowed me to, kind of work with you in the future and be a part of your entrepreneurial journey. So I could definitely get behind this, because this is something I wouldn't naturally do. You know, I have more of a higher level of emotional intelligence than other people, but to actually help people with it, like I said, man, like this is a deep subject, and a lot of people. I love how you said if you're able to get help, you are, because people do try to wear this as a badge of like kind of like who they are, but they're not trying to really get help to find their who they really are. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like it's a cool thing nowadays, but it when we really need to get down to the group. So I commend you, and you know me, I'm going to be here helping you any way I can. We're going to have you on this show regularly to see how the journey goes, man, because you're going to be changing worlds, and we want to be right there with you, changing realities. I'm gonna use that, Joe. I love that, man. I really love that. But yeah, man. So okay, so Instagram is vulnerability is the new sexy, right?
Correct.
Okay, and the podcast, we'll be checking that out, and we'll be sending out in our next newsletter. We'll make sure that we get that out to everybody who's going on the show. And just thank you, man, once again. Do you have any parting words for our audience before we get out of here?
I'll just say that if somebody is a new entrepreneur and thinking about doing something like this, I think the biggest hurdle to get over, for me at least, was just the fear of uh, doing harm. You know, like you're a helping person, or the fear of the getting past the guilt of taking money for something you did, to do and purpose to do. But just get out there, yes, find somebody like Chris that can help you kind of line the things up that need to be lined up. But don't be afraid to just get out there and do what it is you do. And that's how, I started seeing actually income from my gifts by just like, you know what? Yeah, okay, I'll take the money. People had to, I'll take some money for this, but I will still also, so that's all, that's all I'll say. Just get over that fear and just get out there and do it. And then as you're doing it, then find somebody like Chris that can help you, line things up to make sure that they're running as smooth as possible.
Thank you. Hey, and I did not pay him for that plug. So, but thank you, Joe. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you being honest, vulnerable to us, and really showing us how you help people, man. You're going to be successful, Joe Corley. You're going to kill it, man. You're going to do it. I promise you, man. And I'm going to be there right part of the whole way, me and my team, to help you any way I can. And like I said, we're going to have you on this show. Thank you for joining us once again, Joe. And I can't wait to be on your show, me and my wife. We need to be on there and be vulnerable as well. So thank you once again. And until the next show, everybody.